Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Bube's Brewery. We're live from the catacombs at Bube's Brewery, 43 feet underground.
And stuff's not working already. So
this is take two. We tried to go live and it didn't go live, and now we are. I'm Chad Thomas, Jamie Widener, and David Deromedi is with us again. David,
yes.
It is great to have you back.
It is great to be back. I couldn't wait for this. When I heard you were doing it from Bube's, I wanted to be a part of this, so I'm glad to be here.
And the flashlight is on.
And the flashlight is going on. So we've got somebody else with us. We just don't know who yet.
My one piece of equipment.
You have more than one piece of equipment.
You have two.
So,
You have two now.
So,
yeah.
So usually we're talking like from miles apart, but we're all together tonight. Jamie, what'd you do this week? Anything?
I did some stuff. Yeah, we all did a thing actually.
We did.
We got out Saturday night to do a sort of private investigation. I guess I'll call it that for now, at a public place or sort of public place. And I guess I can say where it is now because we have permission.
Yeah.
But we got to investigate in Columbia, PA, in a place formerly known as the Lazy K Lounge, which was formerly known as PJ's Lounge, which was formerly known as Jay's Lounge, which has a few other names before that. Those are the ones in my lifetime. But it was a former dive bar that's now being converted into a nonprofit organization called the Commonweal, which is a community bike shop that's going to run some fantastic programs for the kids in the Columbia Borough, as well as offer some sell-through for bikers on the trail and in the community, and do some other really, really cool stuff. So a lot of the team there came out to join us. It was their first time being paranormal investigators. They all did really well. Every single one of them was fantastic. They were engaged, asked great questions. We had some stuff happen, which we're not quite ready to reveal yet. Excuse me, that'll be coming up in probably a few weeks, so we get it all together. But we're a big shout out to the Commonweal and the team, and look forward to more opportunities to investigate there a little bit more.
Yeah.
So,
Jim, thanks. You're right. The spirits do have our back.
they're on our backs, literally.
So
good to see you, Jim.
This is home for us. Everybody is comfortable with us here.
So if there is a little bit of a delay with the audio and video, we apologize. It is a challenge to do things here at Bube sometimes, and we're making it work. So
yes.
So yeah, you want to?
How about you? Anything for you this week?
I mean, I told you while we were off the air how my week started. So
we don't need to recap that.
No, I mean, I thought it was a great time Saturday night, but now it's busy at work.
Yeah.
Lots going on. So,
and we had Justin with us too. We had Jay with us as well. I don't want to forget him. He was there, and of course, fantastic investigator and did a lot of great things. Helped everybody out.
Yep.
So looking forward to a reveal in a couple of weeks. Some evidence.
And then a revisit as well. So
yeah,
and then we have one next week. Okay, it's next weekend. Not this coming weekend, but the following.
Yes.
Coming up, yeah.
A week out for May 4th. Yep.
We're going to one of the topics that you've covered in the past. We're going to White Hill Mansion.
Yep. We are. Small group investigation, nice quiet place, tucked in a little bit there on the cliff.
Yeah.
And let's see what we find.
Hey Kyle, good to see you tonight.
Kyle, speaking of the devil, there he is. I think this will be my 4th visit to White Hill.
Oh, you're going?
Oh yeah. Oh, you can't keep me out of there. It's never disappointed. There's always been something interesting and activity-wise. Obviously, the last time I think with the the picture falling straight off the wall was a big highlight. But there's always been subtle things as well.
Last time we were there was my birthday, and I was the guy in the chair.
Yep.
Because I didn't know much about the area, so I wanted to just watch everything as it happened. And you guys had some great stuff going on.
We did. Yeah. So, Amanda, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you know where we are, so. And then there's Heather back on the right side of the pond again. Welcome back.
Welcome, Heather.
Good to see you guys back in the swing of things. I know vacations are hard to leave. I did the same thing a week or so ago, so I was nowhere near as fun. Although I did have the opportunity to tour a lot of countries at Epcot, but sadly Ireland is not one of them. So
yes, Todd, you're correct. The flashlight has been going off the whole time that we've been here.
Yeah.
You want to venture a guess to?
I want to say it's Nevin. Had a great. The last time I was here by myself. I was running a group by myself. So when we were down here, He was very active, and we were down actually at the other end of the room here, and where the flashlight typically is, and it just felt like he was kind of sitting in the chair next to me. I had a K2 going off next to me, spiking up to red, and then the cat ball right behind me going off, and the flashlight going off and everything. It just felt like there was a presence there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a fantastic experience that we actually went long and got everybody home late because of it. But Nevin's one of my favorite spirits to interact with here at the brewery. So.
Bert's with us tonight.
Hey, well,
and
also stateside once more.
Yep. And yeah, Amanda, looking forward to some more conversations in the attic at Whitehill.
Yeah.
I sat in on that session with you and Callie, and it was pretty cool. So
absolutely.
So, but anyway, we're going to talk about Bube's Brewery tonight. David, you want to cover this since you do the history most of the time for us?
In case you've ever been with us or know the history or have been on one of our public investigations here, I'm the guy that covers the history, so I'm the guy that gets to do this. So I'm the long pole in the tent. So the history of Bube's Brewery stretches back. It's part of Lancaster's German heritage and their history of brewing beer during the 19th century. Almost every town around had its own brewery, and Lancaster was considered a brewing capital of the United States, of the growing United States. You have to understand, we're talking about the 1860s. The growth of the brewing industry brought German immigrants because obviously, from the Bavarian area, where you're brewing the real beer across the pond, they came here and they settled here. One of those guys was Alois Bube. He was born on May 31st in 1851 in a small village in Mittlenburg in northern Bavaria. He emigrated here to the United States to avoid the military conscription into their draft. If you remember, if anybody knows what Europe was like in the, around 1870, 1865, 1870, you had a lot of fighting going on. He didn't want to fight. He came to the United States. He was able to find work when he got here in a brewery, and 2 years later, he went to work at the Nat Brewery in Lancaster. So as he was working in Lancaster, he met Philip Frank, the original owner of what would become Bube's Brewery. And he was looking for someone, Philip Frank was looking for somebody to take over the brewery across the street from the malt house. In case you don't know, the complex here, effectively what we should call it, is three pieces. You have the brew house, which is where we're not the brew house, which is where we are.
Brewery, the hotel.
The brewery, yeah, you have the brewery, you have the hotel next door, which is where we'll typically meet to do our Publix. And then across the street, there's a mansion on the corner, and that's the malt house. And so all three pieces are part of Bube's Brewery. So in 1876, Alois bought that brewery from Philip Frank for $4,250. The property had been described in the deed as a building occupied as a dwelling, a beer salon, saloon, and brewery. There was a stable and other improvements on the land as well. Yeah, right. There's a good picture of it.
So that lower right-hand picture on the right-hand side of it,
yeah,
shows the malt house.
And the top right-hand picture is probably my favorite picture of the brewery. It's very, very moody and very well done. So in that time, he, as he was building up the brewery and the hotel, he was also wanted to start a family. So he saw a picture of a young lady who was also going to immigrate from Germany, and her name was Pauline, and he decided that's who he was going to marry. So she immigrated, they got over here, and they started their family. They had 6 kids. So their eldest child was Mary, then came Josephine, then Pauline. So there's a lot of generational names. You'll hear a lot of Paulines, etc. And then you're going to have Ani, and then the only son was born in 1892. He was 20 years junior to Mary. And then after him, Tekla was born as their youngest child. The Bubes, good family, happy, well-liked in the community. And I mean, it was said that Alois would go out on the carriages and personally collect the money from his customers, which is very involved in the community. And every picture you see of the family, as you see here, the family looks happy. The family looks engaged. You have them with, musical instruments in some pictures and dancing in other pictures. Is the cat in any of these pictures? They had pets. They had a pet cat, And, that is one of the rumored specters here in the brewery as well. You'll see a fluffy black tail go walking past a table or something where there's no animal.
Which I think I've I've got on an EVP outfit at some point.
That's fantastic. I'm a big cat guy.
And it was actually one of the times when you were talking about your cat. The things you were going through, and we heard a meow in the background that shouldn't have been there. Anyway,
that's fantastic. So if I ran into a spiritual cat, like a spectral cat, I would be completely excited. So Alois was also a very generous guy and family man, and he had a good business sense. Carl Gerner, he gave a personal account. He was one of his workers of Alois, and he said that he was always a stern but fair boss. So, for 32 years, Alois worked hard at his business and shrewdly invested his money. The Mount Joy property was continuously improved. They added to the hotel. They added the third floor. There was a bit of a setback in 1893. The hotel caught fire. They redid it as quickly as they could and got back to business as quickly as they could. Alois survived the troubles and that was in 1893. Alois survived the troubles in 1893 and expanded his business. The property holdings by 1908 were extensive, but on April 20th, 1908, upstairs here in the hotel, in the Peacock Room, which is one of the rooms we investigate when you're here, Alois passed away. Now, we did dig up his death certificate, and it was a significant event in the community. The local newspaper, just front page, was Alois dead, and it was obviously a significant event for the family. That's when, when the linchpin of the family, passes on, you get a little, it splinters a little bit, and that's just what happens. And when he died, there was an incredible outpouring of sympathy and emotion from the community that the family was taken aback about. But they were incredibly receptive to it. They just weren't expecting it, as you never are at that point. Alois's death certificate read that he died of asphyxiation, which technically is the cutting off of the air supply. So we assume that in one of the dining rooms, he probably choked on something, maybe during a meal. And that was it. After he died, the business and the hotel and the property had to go to somebody. So when his death signaled the demise of the business, really. The ownership of the property went to Pauline, the eldest, his wife, and Tekla, the youngest daughter. The other kids didn't want any part of it. They gave all their shares to Tekla. Tekla was still a minor. All transactions involving her were conducted with the Orphans Court, which I'm certain made anything incredibly cumbersome. So the management of the hotel was taken over by Oscar Donovan and Henry Engel, two son-in-laws. So Oscar Donovan was Mary's husband. Henry was Pauline's husband, correct? I believe. Yeah. And Henry oversaw the brewery while Oscar managed the Central Hotel. To their credit, they were able to keep the business going for a number of years. They hit money trouble. They had some creative bookkeeping. They turned the third floor of the hotel into a brothel at one point. Anything to keep the business going. But at the end of the day, when Pauline died, again, everything kind of splintered again. Everything went to Tekla at this point. But Tekla ended up being, in the coming years, manipulated by Henry and Oscar and a few of the other family members when it came to paying off debts and, living here, however, until she passed away. And I'm looking for the Tekla's passing. Ani was a victim of the Spanish flu in 1918. Tekla lived into the 60s, correct? She lived into, I believe so. Anyway, Tekla was not the only daughter. Mary, the eldest daughter, as we close up the family and what happened with the business, Mary, the eldest daughter, committed suicide in 1933. So Oscar Donovan, the guy who ran the hotel, created the brothel, etc., he was caught. He was cheating on Mary with one of the house girls, one of the maids, and in that case, We're not certain of the name of the maid. It's Ada or something similar, but we're checking into the censuses to make sure that we have the correct name, because we're getting some other stuff through we're getting some other stuff through what we're experiencing here. Then, so after that, Mary took her own life. Mary, we got Mary's death certificate. Her death was inhalation of illuminating gas, which is the old, close up the windows, close up the door, turn on the gas, open the stove, and drift off to sleep. So that was how she ended up taking her own life. And then throughout, the rest of the family, as the brewery, at one point, the family sold the brewery off to John Holgren. John Holgren, for as successful as Alois and all those folks. I mean, John Holgren was just the opposite. He went bankrupt very quickly and ended up selling the brewery back to the Bubes, who closed his doors, and they lived here until the middle 60s. Oscar Donovan lived here until he was 90. Even after having betrayed Mary and all that stuff, the family took care of him and paid off all of his bills. So there were some grandkids involved. There were some stuff with them where they were sent off to a facility in Warnersville, Pennsylvania, to handle some issues. And in 1986, Sam Allen bought the brewery and had begun restoring it. And he has done his best to restore it as authentically as possible to the glory days back when the Bubes had it. And every time you buy a ticket to come and investigate with us, and every time you buy a ticket to one of the ghost tours, some of that money gets earmarked for the restoration of the building. So you're helping, restore a historical landmark by coming in and investigating with us. And then that brings us up to the present day, because Sam owns it currently, and he is the one that's been gracious enough to keep us as the house investigative team, gave us the Vat Room tonight for us to broadcast from, and I've spoken for about 5 or 10 minutes. So everybody.
Well, we want to thank Sam for giving us the opportunity to do this tonight. It was last minute shift. There was a banquet going on that he didn't even know was going on, but those things happen. But this is a quiet, cozy room, and
This when, in the catacombs, we're 43 feet below ground, so it is quiet no matter what.
Yeah.
There's no outside noise, there's no light pollution down here, and this room specifically is where I've had the most activity.
Yeah.
At this level anyway. And there's others, of course, the other floors above us that we get to investigate. So I'm really happy to be here. Actually, I mean, I enjoy the other part, but
yeah, no, this is a
candle wall's nice, but.
You weren't at our last investigation, Jamie. You were.
I was on assignment. Yeah.
You were on assignment.
I was on assignment.
You were doing research for
last week's episode, right?
But
he was at Disneyland.
Disney World. Get it? It's a big difference.
But I was in this room. Alex was my investigative partner for the weekend, and we were in this room. And
Jeez, wait a minute! I go away for a week. Steve Dills replaces me, and Alex replaces me. Dude.
Well, don't forget Jerry's brother was here.
Yeah, Jerry's brother was here.
Oh, great guy. Cool.
But anyway, we were down in this room, and we were using the Spirit Talker app. And you're familiar with that.
Don't worry about it. We're going to tell stories. We got you.
So we were down in this room, and the Spirit Talker app says, "Listen for the noise." And you know that plate that clanks up there?
Yep.
As soon as the Spirit Talker app said that plate clanked. And we all look at each other and we're like, what was that? And then the Spirit Talker app goes, that was me.
Nice.
So
I can't tell you. So above us, directly above us, is the what we call the art gallery level, but there's also another set of vertical vats for the processing of beer, and then eventually it winds its way down here for finishing in these large vats. And part of the way to transition the product would be these holes that are cut in the ceiling here, and then even above, all the way up into the cooper shed where the process starts. And each of them then have a steel plate over them now because, we don't want people to fall into them, and the liability of that alone. Right. But they do make this very distinct kunk sound, and in a dark room with already a whole host of other stuff hopefully happening, and then just the mood being set. When somebody comes through that area, like staff passes through to the office, which is above us and that level, or guests even, I've had plenty of people gasp and jump and everything else. And I honestly, I admit I'm probably guilty passing through and cutting through the area myself at times, forgetting it's there. Right. So, but yeah, to do it on command or on cue, not command, on cue.
That was pretty.
That's crazy.
Another noise episode that we had down here was it's probably December, January. I think it was before we had gone to once a month. But I was in the room, sitting over at the one table by the barrel, and we weren't having a lot of activity. So I said, instead of using flashlights, if you want to make a noise, make a noise. From behind that vat where nobody can get, we heard the loudest bang. Were you here?
I was here. Yeah.
It was like we couldn't figure it out.
No, there's no reason for that.
So,
well, this has been the place that and I'll tell my stories. Like this has been this room. We can go room by room with our experiences here with 3 years of investigations, at different areas between us. This is the site.
Post comments, Jim.
I'm going to post comments. I'm sorry, I'm talking and not keeping up. So this is what I was laughing at. Dave's iced tea bottle. I swear. Pretty sure it's iced tea. Well, I don't even know at this point.
I mean, it might be pine salt. But this room has been the experience, like my scariest experience here at Brewery, and also my the most endearing with Nip. So I'll go with the endearing one first. The endearing one was I was down here. I don't remember who was with me, but I'm a very big, I love my flashlight. We always joke about it, and we had it set up in the cubby on the other end of the room where it normally is, and we had all kind of other equipment around. But I like the simple stuff, the flashlight, the candle, all just simple stuff that you can't manipulate, and if something happens, it happens. And there was a guest here. He's been back since, and he was very openly homosexual and openly gay, and he had a connection with Nevin because Nevin's rumored to, Nevin presented as gay, and he had this connection with Nevin to where he was sitting on the side of the table with the candle in front of him, and he would ask Nevin a question. He had started out with this really sincere heart-to-heart with him, and we love when one thing goes off here and there, just as any investigator does. But when you can get one to back another up, it's even better. And he would ask a question, and then you would see the candle flicker, and then the light would come on in response if it was some kind of a positive response. And then he would say, "Okay, can you turn the light out again?" And the candle would flicker and the light would go out again. And that went on for about 30 minutes of him having this heart-to-heart with Nevin, and it was amazing to experience. And he came back and tried to recreate it again. We didn't quite get it as much activity the second time, but that first time is one I'll talk about forever because it was just so, it went on for so long, and you had two things working off of each other. It was fantastic. And then scary wise, there was a former team member that had a dark envy attached to him, and he was here. He was seated where Jamie is actually, and he had a high-end camera that he had on the table, and he was interacting with something through the SLS and other items. We were watching that. He was presenting as a child, so there was a small stick figure right here. There was he decided to confront it. He got very confrontational with it, and then you kind of saw the stick figure grow until it was kind of overbearing, and then the camera fell over. And that's really one of the only times I've seen a session here get stopped and everybody pulled out and a cleansing done. So that, and that was one of my first investigations here. So that was probably 3 years ago now, or 2.5 years ago. So, but yeah, this room incredibly active on a good night.
Jamie, do you have any stories from here at this room?
A couple things actually, and that the point of this corner specifically, and I think that's part of the reason why we wanted to make sure it was on camera. There's a rumor story, not a documented one, unfortunately, of at times there are 4 barrels here, which you can't see the other 3, of course, but all lined up in a row with very little space between them, but there is enough to turn them, which is part of the process to alleviate the sedimentation, and it's consistent. And at this corner, the story is that a worker was crushed by the terrain, either a slip or a fall, or the barrel moved too much for him. And the belief is that there was a death. We've had, through the course of repetitive investigation, the opportunity to capture the name Charlie over and over and over again. And we believe that's who we're talking to here. But we've had SLS activity in the corner very, very early on. One of the investigations we did here, Tim and Erica from Jotnix, New Jersey, were here with a new device they had, and it is GS2 or 4 or something like that. It's a grid system, but it also has kind of a hot and cold sensor to it, so you can kind of tell proximity as well as things on the grid. And that corner kept having activity as well. So we have multiple devices, and then flashlights. Flashlights are flashlights. Believe them if you don't. I'm kind of on the fence most of the time too. Obviously, this one now keeps going off. But on the far wall, which is probably 15 feet away, 10 feet away, there's another nookie kind of hook in there that we have a place to put a flashlight. And we were using one investigation, Chad, you and I were here. Yes was there, no was here. And we were getting direct call and responses to the questions on those yes or no answers without fail. And we had some activity with some of the, like a K2 would go off occasionally, sitting on an end of a table, almost like somebody was passing by it, going between the two flashlights. So,
do you remember the one night we were sitting here, and there were a lot of people from our sister teams, but it was almost like something had run through, because I had a device here.
Yeah.
There were 3 or 4 devices that went off in a row, and actually one of the people ended up feeling very ill after that happened. But there's a lot of activity definitely by this wall. Did you know that there used to be 2 rows of barrels here?
Flashlight.
Yeah. There used to be barrels on this side as well.
Yeah. I've heard that.
I've seen I found some pictures of that.
Oh, cool.
I didn't get them assembled for tonight, but
Okay.
yeah, there was not much room between here.
And there shouldn't have been, for that matter. With
The whole idea was
maximize.
to make
This was a workspace. This was certainly not a fine dining establishment.
Right. It is now, though.
It is
Highly
now.
recommended.
Yep.
And Heather had Heather's comment up there, but she got an EVP of her name in this room the first time she brought Kaya.
Wow.
So
yeah.
And Amanda was that's right. Amanda was here that night, and with her daughter, and Nevin. Yeah, it was an interesting evening.
Yeah. So this space, it's one of many that are active, but there is certainly almost always activity here. And I guess I want to say it this way too. I don't know if it's the privilege. I can say privilege, because certainly it's always a privilege to get to investigate a place. But I've had the opportunity to be the last group in this space, and it always seems like that last session is the one that has the most activity. Because everything. I don't know if it's the fact that there's just we say this is going to be the last group coming in. We are the last group. Maybe it's that that opportunity is taken, or there's enough comfort at that point, or there's certain people and we're going to talk about certain entities here, spirits here liking Dave when we go a little higher up. Right. So maybe that's the case here too. With
if you've never come to Bube's, I am the example for all the bad stuff. Like everything you shouldn't do, I've probably done, and they'll mention it. They'll say something, and they'll be like, "Right, Dave?" But this isn't the only spot in the catacombs that we investigate.
Sure.
So there's another spot. Now there's 3 parts to the catacombs. There's the Vat Room here. Then you have the dining area, a long dining area out in front of us, which we don't ever investigate. Like we don't ever do much out there. And then you go downstairs and there's a lower catacombs.
Right.
So
if you look at the picture that we've got up, it's in the bottom center there, is the catacomb level. Which I didn't realize, I never thought about it, that they parallel each other.
Yeah.
So
and it's the lowest part of the building as well. And then there's the mystery of the lower catacomb, which the lower level. So there is a steel plate on the floor in the corner, basically just across from us now, where there is another cavern that goes down a good 7 feet or so, and off in 2 directions. It's collapsed, unfortunately. Some LiDAR work was done, and found that it certainly extends. And then there's some belief that it may actually go across the street to the Malt Baron house. The malt house, which would make sense as a transportation opportunity just to get between the buildings. but also perhaps for some bootlegging opportunities and
Right.
prohibition. We're close enough to the Susquehanna River, which was a major northbound travel route for the Underground Railroad. There could have been some hiding of individuals seeking freedom. And there certainly could be other stuff, you know, as it goes. And there's certainly even a belief that the caverns extend across the area of what is Mount Joy, this borough we're in.
One thing about the catacombs are post-Civil War.
Right.
Yeah.
So the caverns under it more than likely would have been used for that.
Yeah.
Certainly could have been.
I heard something in the crew.
Now we've actually done some sampling, you might say, during research or during investigations, and have come up with spirits who feel lost, who feel like they're looking for something, like they're on a journey.
Right. Or that have actually said that they're connected in some way to the catacomb or to the lower catacombs.
Right.
And we've even had a soldier a time or so
Right.
as well.
So,
Whether that was, which side that was on, I don't know. Either blue or gray.
yeah, don't know. But it's definitely interesting. So.
And that's an area we tend to get. You know, we didn't mention up here. I think you did. Did you mention about the individual that was crushed?
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yep.
The one thing I did want to point out was the very few times is we don't ever get to investigate here by ourselves.
Right.
Like as a team, we did it. We've done it once.
A couple times.
Right?
Well, yeah,
I've done it once.
a time or two at least.
With the crew.
Yeah. We're
And-
busy, right?
Yeah.
With public stuff, right?
Mhm.
But I remember here, I was at that table right there. Somebody was looking at us. Matt was standing behind me, and somebody was looking at us through the SLS. And there were 3 images in the SLS. There were 3 stick figures. There was me sitting down and Matt standing up, and there was a stick figure with one arm on my shoulder and the other arm kind of like this on Matt. You know.
Wow.
And,
Hey.
So,
that I don't have anything really outstanding for the lower category.
no. Now it's more in here. We've had tables move.
Yeah.
We have,
Um,
yeah, in here specifically.
in here
The
specifically.
second table up has been,
Oh, the camera fell over.
The camera fell over.
Yep.
When I was talking to Jean earlier tonight, she said Kendra swears that there's ghosts in here all the time. She sees shadows. She sees things all the time, and things move in here.
Yep. And for clarity, Jean is a staffer who's always here,
Mhm.
like literally always here, who has some great stories of her own. And the flashlights.
The flashlight.
You know Jean too. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
She's a wonderful woman.
Yeah, she's a gem. She absolutely is.
And Kendra, Jean's the banquet manager. Kendra's one of the managers in this level.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. And that I think for us, that's one of the true advantages of having this be our home gig, is that we've gotten to know the staff through the years, and everybody seems to have a story.
Mhm.
Something has
You
happened.
know who doesn't have a story? Sam.
Sam. That's true. That's true. I've heard that too. He said the same. Well, maybe he does. He just chooses not to share them.
Not sharing.
Yeah.
So,
You know, if it goes at night, you know, you got the monster under the bed, so you pull the covers up enough, you're safe.
Right.
Kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case by any means,
I
but
got the monster under the stairs out here. As you go up,
Yeah,
if you're not paying- if
the
you're not
mannequin,
paying
yeah.
attention, you know, it's one of the Halloween props.
Yep.
So with that said, that covered the lower catacombs. Move up a level.
Yeah.
So up a level is the art gallery.
yes.
So now, if you've ever Googled Bube's Brewery, and if you Google
Make
Bube,
sure you spell Bube.
Bubes.
Yeah.
Either that or don't do it on a work computer. And you know you'll find the Discovery Channel special that they did here,
Mhm.
and Lady in White, right?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be Pauline, so that'd be the third Pauline, right? That's the granddaughter of
I thought it was
Pauline.
yes, maybe. I thought it was the daughter, but
It might be. It may
I
be
believe it's the daughter.
one of the Paulines.
not the mother.
Not the mother. That story will come, Heather, later. And then that's a very well, but again, it's an area that it's not comfortable to investigate it. I've not done much investigating in there. Even the few times that I have, it's not been real conducive to a lot of activity.
Well, it's a lot of times it's the pass through area still for staff and guests and visitors too, who are kind of half touring, kind of not. You know, they don't always let folks come down here after the room's been closed. You know, the staff's gone. They would have to be a guided tour at that point. And Sam's been known to do that on the whim. Like say, hey, somebody'd like to walk through it. And he's like, sure. You know, he's proud of this place, and he should be. But generally speaking, you know, there's just that pass through element, which makes it difficult for us, you know, as we need that calm, quiet, kind of moment. And it's still, and here we start to get into the fact that we are still below ground, but we're not all the way below. So there are windows that have access to people on the street, cars. There's some pollution that happens at that level as well.
Now, on that level, our friend Kelly, that's where she had her time loss episode.
I've always heard of it. I didn't know where.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that level that happened.
Okay.
There's about 20 minutes, I think, 20 minutes to a half hour that she just doesn't remember, and it was not a tequila night. That's a whole different story.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
Yeah. So yeah, she there's about 20 minutes, and it's not just her. There's some other people. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and if you're listening, Kelly, I miss your face. We got to get together.
Yeah, we all do. Absolutely. I had the first most unusual experience I've had here at that level, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we use walkie-talkies because we're at 3 different levels to communicate when we're going to transition from the session we're in. There's usually like a couple minute warning that we're going to be 10-minute warning, 5-minute warning, this time to know to start to wrap up the session. And then at that point, everybody migrates back to either the ground level to go outside to get air, or back up to the ballroom level where we stage at. And, we take 15, 20 minutes. We just calm it down a little bit. Everybody gets, you need to go get a drink, take an air break or a cigarette break, whatever it may be that you need. And there was a session here in the catacombs, and radio down here is challenged at times. I get it, all the stone that we have and all the distance. So the group that was here wasn't responding. It might have been you running over, something like that, and I get that. We're in the moment. We don't always want to call, cut the session off.
I do what I want.
Do what you want. You're a grown adult. So I'm coming down the stairs from the bar, the first floor, the bar level. And as I get down and I turn to the right and I'm about to go to the left into the top of the stairs that lead us here, I see something come down the steps and dart around the corner to the office. Super fast and very dark. And I thought to myself, that shouldn't be us. So I just went back to look. Like I just stopped in my tracks and went back and looked in that corner. The office door is there. And you can tell when someone's in there because the light's on. And more times than not, the door is ajar. And that door makes noise. It's a heavy, solid wooden door. It looks like it belongs on a ship. The door is closed. The light is off. And there's nowhere else to go. There's an outdoor that has a panic bar on it that would make sound. It would open. And there's a door to the left, which is very secure because that's where all the good booze is. So there's nobody there. And then that's it. And I stood there. I don't know how long I stood there, but probably a couple minutes trying to figure out what just happened.
Uh-huh.
And I have no reason for what it was, other than my opinion, it was my first shadow person.
Very cool.
First, I'm saying first.
Mm-hmm.
There's been more. So get to that later.
You always remember your first.
You always remember your first. Yeah. But it was the strangest thing, and I know what I saw.
Yep.
So
wow. And we're hearing banging in the background. I'm going to chalk that up to cleaning up for the banquet.
It's still, somebody's got to still be hello. This is we're like, can you hear me?
So, well, anyway, so should we move up to another?
Yeah, we'll go up another set of stairs.
Sure.
And now we're on the first floor. So this is the Alois bar level. And we have at least 3, maybe 4 rooms that we investigate here.
Yeah.
We are 5, actually, if you think about it. You have the Alois bar proper, which one of the diagrams is this, Jim?
It would be the second from the bottom on the left.
Okay.
It says Alois Restaurant.
So we have the Alois bar, which we'll go into and we'll investigate. Attached to the Alois bar is the preacher's quarters. That comes from a time in history when there weren't indigenous holy men at every church. So there weren't enough priests to stock every church. So they had to travel.
Circuit priests.
Yeah, most of your clergymen traveled, whatever denomination, and the Bubes were kind enough to give up a room to these holy men, to these priests or whatever, and so that they could take confessions, they could do little masses, etc. And it was able to be separated. It attaches to the bar, but you were able to be cut off from the bar, so you have the craziness of the bar spill over. And then across the hall, you have the canopy room, which we used to investigate a lot, and we don't really do a heck of a lot in much more.
It's hard because there's some EMF.
there's an unshielded wiring in the floor level that really causes some havoc on our our
With our
K2s
equipment,
and our EDIs and some of the stuff that runs on electromagnetic K2, or I'm sorry, REM pods. So we have to be cautious there. One of the great examples was when we were very new here. There's a doorway that is blocked on the other side now by equipment in the original kitchen, and I'm standing very near it, and I was thinking to myself, like how in the day, Mrs. Bube ran this side of the house, and Eloise, Mr. Bube ran the bar side. It's a gentleman's bar, and there are no women. Generally speaking, there are no women allowed. There's some exceptions later on after his passing, perhaps, but. Mrs. Bube would have been standing in that doorway quite a lot, looking at what's going on in this space, and I started asking questions around that. And my K2 is on the table, and it starts to go off, and I got really excited. And then one of our guests, who actually wound up being our team member eventually, came and dropped hers right next to it, and they're both going off. And after a little while, another one, and that's when we realized that there's some really bad wiring running directly under that space, and it was just somebody turned something on somewhere, and now we got power draw.
Right. You're talking about a building that's been built, rebuilt, and refurbished, over the last 160 years, and you will have old wiring, poorly shielded wiring,
and dimmers with fluorescent lights on, which just create total havoc.
Yes, it does.
Because we'll have stuff going off in the bar until we turn the lights off, and then it's like, oh, that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's the same up in the ballroom, including the interferes and the tripwires.
This is a good time to take the aside of saying, like, this is one of the things as an investigator you have to really be aware of. And this is the difference between we make this joke a lot, the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator. Ghost hunter would say, and I'm making light to say this, that, oh, look, a ghost, it's going off. My equipment's happening, and instead of trying to figure out what's causing it to go off, what could it be, environmental, physical, something in that space that, with a little, and honestly, we had to go downstairs. And again, that same space I mentioned where the office door is, that's where we are. And I'm up with the K2, and all of a sudden it's just blowing up. So, we found in a milligas detector, we found that that's what it was. So, we can take something away. And if you take away all the things that are normal and you still have something, then definitely it's paranormal, right?
Right.
But you can't just assume everything is going to automatically be a ghost.
Sherlock Holmes said it. And, you take away everything possible. The only thing left is the impossible.
Yes.
So we also have the canopy room, which is named thusly because of the restored painted wallpaper.
The uniqueness of it.
A circus canopy painted on the scene. Then we have two, again, incredibly well-named rooms. We have the Peacock Room, which is due to the peacocks on the wallpaper. And that's the room where Eloise Bube died. And we investigate in there regularly. And then next door to that is the Dragonfly Room, right?
Yes.
Dragonfly Room. And it's another dining area. This one has mirrors pointed at each other. I am somebody who I have no problem telling you I am terrified of mirrors. I have one in my house. It's in my bathroom. I mean, if you ever looked at me and how disheveled I look, you can tell I don't have mirrors in my house. But I have one. I keep one in my house. It's in my bathroom. But that room has mirrors pointed at each other and all kind of direct. It's just it creeps me out. I very rarely go in there.
Now I've gotten some interesting experience. I've had some interesting experiences in there, though. So we've communicated with Mary. I've done some stuff in there with dowsing rods. Had a good experience. Andrew and I sat one night when we were doing. Maybe it was when we were doing like a Bube crew, and we had a little bit of a break. We connected with somebody, and I'm not sure who it was, but it was interesting.
Well, the Eloise, not the Eloise bar, the Peacock Room is where I tend to connect with Mary the most, and that's where I get all a great deal until this past weekend actually. That's where I usually get all of my interaction with Mary done in that room. Where and then we have the Eloise bar, and actually the Peacock Room is where that clip that I sent you, that's where that was filmed.
Do we want to go with that now?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. So this clip it's from quite a bit ago, but it's my friend Sunny. It's Melissa Keller. She's the owner of one of the owners of Jock Mix, one of the founders. Her and her husband Jerry. And so Melissa is here, and then one of our team members. I don't know if she was a team member yet at this point, but I think she was on her way to be. And it's Kirsten. So they're using, and I don't know what the item is called. It's got a scrying mirror. It spins. It has the letters out there, and everybody has like one finger on it. So nobody's actually touching the mirror or the thing that spins, and they're keeping it balanced.
It's something wheel, and I'm drawing a blank on the name, but let's go ahead and we'll run that.
Mary, why don't you come on over here and talk to us? You can use the letters on the wheel.
Who's spinning it?
Huh?
Who's
Did y'all
spinning
catch
it?
it?
I mean, I'm at the Y now.
Did you not
Yeah.
see it spin?
Yeah.
I saw it move.
Can you run it again, Chad? It happens in the first
Okay,
10
so
seconds.
let me
So
just-
if you keep an eye on it, you'll see it spin right before she speaks, and then more distinctly after.
Mary,
Right there.
why don't you come on over here and talk to us? You can use the letters on the wheel.
Who's spinning it?
Huh?
Who's spinning it?
I mean, I'm at the Y now.
Did you not see it spin?
Yeah.
I saw it move.
As you can tell, the oaf with the camera is me.
Okay.
Who's spinning it? But yeah, that was a fantastic little piece of evidence that we got in that room there. And we were trying to. That was one of the first times we reached out to Brewery. So,
And we've had a lot of, I've had a lot of luck with the tripwire in there as well.
Yeah.
Just some weird experiences with the tripwire. Sometimes that room is so full of energy.
Yeah, and in the Peacock room, it is a regular occurrence for individuals to get booted.
Yeah.
And Eloise has a significant presence, and it possibly because of this is believed to be at least the space he passed in. But there's been our team members and a guest who have been given the cues to leave.
I've been booted. Courtney got
Courtney,
booted.
yeah,
out
Courtney.
as
Well, I was
Justin.
trying not to say your name
No.
there because you're the poster child for the bad things.
And that's also where one of our younger guests, I don't want to give names for younger guests,
Yes.
but definitely had an experience there where I think she then saw Eloise standing in the doorway.
Yeah, that's what.
And
And then we had she was talking with a former team member and asked if she could see the man in the doorway. And then when she turned around, the team member couldn't see him. And then the young lady asked. The young lady had a very unique name, so it's not something you would hear every day or an everyday conversation. And then like the team member switched with her, so she wanted to switch. So she didn't have to look at him. And then nearly like right after, here comes her name through in a male voice through the Phasma box that was running on the table. And of course, the young lady freaked out, went upstairs, had to go get collected by her grandmother or father, because she was a child. She was, 7 or 8 years old, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So,
And to stretch this a little further, the second weird opportunity I had was standing in the hallway with my back to the door that leads into the original kitchen, looking toward the stairs and seeing that same dark figure go straight across the hallway toward the stairs, which would have been the stairs that was coming down the first time I saw it.
interesting.
And I bolted right after it, like a fool, because like who am I chasing here? Who is this? Because we're all in session at that point. There shouldn't have been a guest coming down the stairs. I would have heard them coming down the stairs. The door to the outside, which is the primary door we use, is loud. And it's heavy, and it would definitely made noise. So it opening and closing. So there wasn't somebody who came from somewhere, that belonged to us. So who are you? And I went after them, and then by the time I got even just that 5 steps to turn the corner, they were gone.
I've seen shadows in that level too.
Ahead of our bathrooms, those doors make noise. The bar door was closed, and the only place it could have went was down the stairs. Once again, so bizarre.
and everybody seems to have specific areas that they do well in. Like I don't ever do well in the bar.
Yep.
Like I never do well in the Eloise bar. I get very little. Now, that's the only place here I've seen poltergeist activity because
Well, yeah.
But the on the whole, that's usually a very big dead spot. Now, Justin, he can get he can have a circus in there. with the equipment that he can get to go off. But like for me in there, it was that same night with the young lady when, we were berating Eloise for scaring her. We went in there and Missy was there and Lisa, right? Is Missy's sister?
Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
And Lisa was there. And it was weird because we were all yelling again, welcome to Paranormal Investigation. We were in the dark yelling at ourselves, yelling at Eloise for scaring this little girl. And like we had equipment going off all around the room. It was kind of like going off in a hurricane. And that's when Missy's sister lost time. She was, according to, I couldn't see because I was across the dark room from her, but Missy and our team member that was there, they were like, look, she was just staring straight forward. And one of them said, one of them might've said that her eyes had gone black. I don't know about that, but like when it was all said and done and the equipment ceased and everything calmed down, that's when Lisa came out. She's like, okay, when are we going to start yelling at Eloise? Like what we have been for the last 5 minutes, and she had no idea what had gone on.
Well, we have, to the bar too, there's one evening we had a guest see a woman in a black dress while we're in the preacher's room, passed from across the room, the main room, toward the front door. And then later that door rattled, which it's locked, because it's not a regular entrance. And obviously there were people who could be outside, but right there was a set of windows. I went right to the window, looked, clearly could see the steps in the door. There's nobody out there. So a very unique experience. And I think that's the same evening you captured a picture against the wall between the door and the
shadow picture.
Yeah, the shadow image of, and this is why we take pictures in threes, right? So you can see transitions. But there was nothing, and there was something clear, dark, and then next frame there's nothing. And there was a table sitting there. So there, whatever that was, came and went. Cool stuff.
I don't have anything further to add because I can't get anything in the preacher's room and the preacher's quarters. I can't get anything here. I get very little in the bar. Like the one experience that I did have was where we were antagonizing Eloise, and Morgan from our Eclipse team was there, and it was funny because she was in the preacher's quarters with me and with a guest, and the flashlight, everything going off, and then all of a sudden, nobody touching the table. They ask, is there anybody here that you don't want here? And Eloise, get a good feeling that Eloise does not like me for a number of reasons, but Eloise doesn't like me. And at this point, the flashlight rolled off the table with nobody touching it, hit the floor as they do, and started spinning. And then it ended up pointed dead at me and turned on. Well, it was pretty obvious that he didn't want me there. But that was like the most, and with 3 witnesses. It's not just me telling a story that happened. There's 3 witnesses.
Well, one thing we need to dig into a little bit with that room, the bars, is a lot of times when we're in that room, I will hear furniture moving upstairs, like lots of furniture moving upstairs.
Oh yeah, I could speak to that from the Peacock room as well.
And it's like we never dig into it to see and go upstairs and see if like people are moving chairs around or not. And maybe we should.
Next time. Good point.
So, but we should really look into that because we're hearing a lot of movement. It's like we go upstairs. Were you moving chairs?
Yep. We heard a host of things happening in the Peacock room. I left the group, went upstairs, expecting to find something, and I knew there wasn't anyone there, like a group, because some folks had left and the groups got merged down. And what I found was Jerry, all the way at the front of the room by the front windows, putting equipment away. And poor Jerry, he's hard of hearing. So and years of unfortunately loud equipment and stuff has run its course. His hearing is not as good as it should be. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, people are moving chairs back here, and he's like, I'm the only one here. And the room is dark, of course, so no one's there. So
yeah, I think we need to
definitely had it
some more.
Yeah. That might be a camera leave or something in that direction too. Perhaps we'll catch it.
So that'll do it. That'll do it for the first floor. And then we'll go up one more set of stairs. In case you investigate here with us, there's a lot of stairs.
Yeah, it's a lot of stairs.
So just no squat thrusts or anything the day prior. If you're working.
The stairs have stairs.
So the last part that we investigate is on the second floor upstairs, 4 floors up from where we are now. And that would be the banquet hall and the dining area. and that used to be the family's living quarters. So you have, three, and we separate it into three different distinct parts now. We have one end of the room is where the girls' rooms were. Ani and Tekla, they tend to present in this area, and that's in the back. We have a lot of great interaction there with them. And then in the middle of the room on the grand stairwell is where we've interacted with Sally, the one of the girls that worked upstairs, up on the third floor, one of the working girls. So she's made herself known there. And then on the nearest end of the room, with the bar and the door, is where we've interacted with Pauline and Henry. So there's three distinct areas. Now we don't really investigate on the stairs anymore, just due to an injury liability issue. We don't want to be putting, it's dark. We don't, and the third floor is an active hotel. So there are guests going up and down. So we don't want to have equipment on dark stairs for somebody to trip and fall on. So we've kind of shied away from investigating that area as intensely as we'd had in the past.
Right.
But the either end is usually a good time for all of us. Ani and Tekla on one end, and me and Pauline on the other. And I know you desperately want to play that other video.
We can save that for a minute.
Okay.
So
let's just talk about our favorite experiences down with the girls.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing about this level is, it was the resident level. This is where they lived, at least some of the time they were here.
Right.
And, whether it be the full term, and their affluence let them get out or not, that's still somewhat debatable, but they definitely lived here for a period. And, it doesn't look like it did back then as well.
Right.
They didn't have a bar in their living room. They had a bar downstairs. They had one downstairs. Why would they need one? Right. I mean, I wouldn't mind a bar in my living room. I don't think it would fly very far.
Right.
But so, we have to kind of envision what it would have looked like. And, we clearly can tell from the back hallway where there are now two restrooms. Those certainly would have been bedrooms. They were sized appropriate. There's the bakery room would have been another bedroom, but the rest of it is kind of hard to see now because it's such an open floor plan, minus the pillar that's in the middle of the room, which is basically a chimney stack.
Right.
So that back corner, though, I think we've all had something happen there. And whether it be flashlight activity, whether it be the music box that Tim Bergen designed for us. Thanks, Tim. We use it all the time. It has an IR to it. So if something breaks the plane, it plays the sound that you would get in a jewelry box. It's a very distinct sound. We have had tripwire. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of different devices that have, and cat balls, and pretty much everything in our arsenal. K2s have gone off back there. I mean, it's been steady, but it's also been reserved at times, and again, we tie it kind of to the presence of Eloise, because he's protective of his kids.
Right.
And that's the quite interesting part of it, because, when it's heavy, we are light on activity.
Right.
But when it seems, calm, and then we start to have stuff happening on the regular.
I've had a couple, for a while, I was putting a voice recorder back in the hallway and just letting it run all night.
All night, right?
And I picked up a couple of things, Dave. That's where I picked up the meow
Right.
when we were talking about that earlier. A couple just random noises that shouldn't have been there. There was one where Chloe was talking to the girls, and there was a noise, and she's like, "What was that?" So there was definitely
Audible sound.
It was an audible sound. There's one that I can't find it, anymore. But I was listening to it at one point, and it sounded like 3 or 4 kids running by the recorder, having a conversation, and like you could just, it's the Doppler effect. It gets louder and then it gets quieter.
Yeah.
It was at a time when nobody should have, literally we had 2 groups that night. So there shouldn't have been anybody in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught these 4 voices. It sounded like kids.
Sure.
And it was just very odd. And nothing that I could understand, but it was definitely a conversation. And I don't know if it was a foreign, I can't remember if it was a foreign language but it was like you could hear them coming and then you could hear them going. It was just weird.
Well, Chloe's relationship with Ani, even from day one,
right on,
has been fantastic, and she can get it's gotten like I haven't seen her get as much recently, and it may come because she was kind of aging past.
By the way, happy birthday, Chloe.
Yes, today is Chloe's birthday. Happy birthday, Chloe. But she's aging past where the girls are, because when she first started, if you got to think, she was right in the same age.
Yep.
If we haven't explained, Ani and Tekla present here, even though they died in their 30s and 40s, they present here as kind of tweenage girls. So they'll present anywhere between like 11 and 13 or 14. And, Chloe was able to always, have lights dancing and flashlights going on and off. Had this incredible relationship with Ani for the longest time.
Absolutely.
I enjoy I enjoy the interaction with the girls. I feel like I'm very protective of the girls back there. We're all very respectful. We ask Eloise if it's okay if the girls come out and play. Some of us can get more than others.
Which we started doing that because Heather Lynch, our friend Heather, is very sensitive, said he's not happy that you just assume that you can talk to them.
Yeah.
So we now ask permission to make sure that it's okay.
Oh, we're in his house, so yeah.
And for me, probably the most intense experience I had up there happened this past week. With that, again, I was leading the group by myself, and I had a fantastic, I think it was only 6 people, maybe 6 people deep group, but they were incredibly involved. And there was a young lady sitting in the group, the redheaded girl with the horn-rimmed glasses, and she, as I sat there, and now in this case, this weekend in that area was a very intense experience on multiple occasions from Mary. So you had Mary interacting with Jerry's brother. I'm so sorry, I can never remember his name. It took me 3 years to remember Lisa's name.
Well, Zach is what we were calling him the other night.
Yes.
Okay, so Zach, but Zach felt like she was holding his hand, and he was experiencing her hand, like she was letting him experience her hand. And he had this intense experience during the first session. Well, I was in the ballroom in the second session, and I'm sitting there trying to draw the girls out, and I couldn't get Ani and Tekla. Now downstairs they had said Tekla, but what I was getting was Mary, and this young lady was sitting about 2 tables down from me. And all of this, I thought she was laughing at me. I thought she was, because my investigation style is very conversational. And so I was sitting there, I was just talking to the girls, trying to get some interaction. And I thought she started laughing at what I was saying. But when I turned around and looked, her friend was holding her hand, and she was just having this significant emotional event. She was bawling her eyes out. And she's talking, like she's hitching, but she's trying to say, she's like, I'm absolutely fine. I don't know why this is happening, and then it went on for about 20 minutes. And she said she described a lot of what Zach had described from the first time, and then all of a sudden, just like it was a faucet, it just turned off. And then she was absolutely fine. She had to go outside for a cigarette. So that is probably the most intense experience on that end that I've had here.
It was a very emotional weekend last time we were here. We're missing you.
You can miss me. Yeah, that's got to be it. That's got
I
to
was
be
waiting
it.
for you to realize you were wearing mouse ears.
No, I was not.
Oh, you were home, but
I was on a plane Saturday evening. So I was traveling, but yeah, I was in the park that day.
So what about you and the girls? Anything?
The music box is the big thing. We've had SLS activity, at the doorway itself, standing parallel to it, looking in the hallway. We've had activity there. Devices at the corner. The one night we had a bachelorette party.
Yep.
A while back. There's been a few of those, but we had one where one of the guests was from Germany, and she was fluent in German, so she was trying to connect, via German, and she brought forward some activity. The funniest thing about that, and I'm not trying to make light of this, but they mistook Ani for Anna, and it was wintertime, and they kept asking if she wanted to build a snowman. So I tried to get that fixed real quick, because I can only see how that would go over with Eloise. But that was the few times we've had a few guests who are German speakers who have had some success as well, with connection, which is interesting because they would have spoken German as at least the first language, if not second to the generations that came.
The kids probably wouldn't have spoken
as fluently, right? But they certainly, Mr. and Mrs. would have.
When we're using the Phasma box, we've gotten things that sound very German, or
Yeah.
at least from that region.
Yep.
So,
That's that's the other interesting side of it is the audio stuff that we hear, but we don't always understand what it's saying. It may not be. It might just be because it's not English.
Sure.
That's something we have to consider in our review.
Well, then as we move up to the other end of the room, we'll pass the grand staircase where my girl Sally exists. She makes herself known. And then on the other end of the room, you have, we tend to interact with like Pauline or with Henry. So Henry likes to be back by the bar, by the door. And Pauline, again, my story for this end involves, Heather Lynch, who's I believe is watching with us tonight. And Heather was communicating with, standing next to a cat ball on the floor. So if you've seen the cat balls go off, they go off for about 5 seconds and then they turn themselves off. So as I'm standing there and Heather's having this conversation, she describes the woman that she's having this conversation with. And it was, I recognized that it was Pauline Bube. And so the interesting thing about this is the whole time she's standing there, the cat ball's going off for an extended period of time. We're talking a good 3, 4, 5 minutes. And I ask her, I'm like, Heather, I'm wondering why the cat ball keeps going off. She's like, well, but she's standing up. I asked if she could move, and so we got a baseline, so we can get a baseline. But one of the things I took away from that is that Pauline, it takes an incredible amount of energy for Pauline to communicate with us. And Pauline has taken things to the other side with her. For example, like Mary has taken the fact that, Oscar got to live out his life. And like Mary still seems very angry. Like Oscar got to live out his life, got to have a family, got to live here, and she didn't, et cetera, et cetera. Pauline, if you can imagine what it was like being a woman in the 1800s, how, overlooked everybody was. I can't remember the word that I always use, but she doesn't think anybody wants to hear what she has to say. And that was one thing that Heather stressed. Like it takes a lot of energy for her to communicate, and she doesn't think that anybody wants to hear anything that she has to say. Yeah. So, we make a special effort now to let her know that, yes, in fact, it was, we do want to hear what you have to say. So, and she does, she'll communicate with us from time to time now.
It's always been in that front room for me as well. And, it almost seems, I don't want to say strained. That's negative, but it seems that it is challenged for the connection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's the drain of energy or her inability to pull the energy or have enough, but she certainly is here. And the other thing too, and I think we got to step way back to come back down to the catacombs too, is that there's been the Lady in Red, which is believed to be Pauline oversighting the workforce here when Alois is away. He's right. Off to do business somewhere. Somebody's got to try to keep an eye on things, or perhaps coming to track down the kids who might be down here running around. I would be down here hanging out, like, not just for the beer, but, for the play space that this would offer. It's crazy great. I can climb up on these things and all kinds of stuff. So, but, she definitely has a presence in the building.
It's interesting you talk about Alois being away. I have a subscription to look at newspaper articles, so I've gone through and searched for Alois Bube. And there is a second Alois Bube who lived in Lancaster, who was a troublemaker. So you got to be careful that you don't get
the wrong one
confused.
Right.
But the way things were documented in the papers back then gives you an insight to like things he did. He would go to Pittsburgh for the weekend, and they would report that he had gone to Pittsburgh for like, it's interesting to be able to track his life like that. He owned hotels, and he owned a whole bunch of hotels. He owned, I think, a quarry. Like, he was a businessman.
He did well, right?
He did very well for himself. So.
Right, that's like social media before social media,
right?
Yeah. The newspaper was your social media. Yeah. Well, that's the other side too. Like here, Mount Joy, we're a block and a half away from the train station.
Right.
The train station's been there since the track were laid. The Keystone line that it sits on runs to Harrisburg and ends, and it goes to Philadelphia 30th Street. So, the stories that we have from staff is that Alois would load a cart up, take it over to the station, load his beer onto the train, and take it both ways to sell in bars and establishments away from Mount Joy. Which helped fulfill the opportunity to expand his business. So he was savvy. Nobody else was doing that. It took a full day and a half to get to from Mount Joy to Lancaster back in the day on a cart, and a horse and wagon kind of thing, and and all the manpower. So much smarter.
Bube's Hotel was the first building in Mount Joy to have indoor plumbing.
Indoor plumbing, right? Yep. Before that, it was a hole in the floor at the bar. So, yeah.
So upstairs from the ballroom, what we call the ballroom now, is the hotel level. We don't do much investigation up there.
Respect for guests, right?
I have had the opportunity to investigate the penthouse.
Mhm.
I was
That's
up
fine.
there with Heather.
Did a photo shoot up there at one point.
We did have a photo shoot up there at one point.
And then we found the bizarre anomaly off to the northeast.
For the light anomaly.
Yeah, the light anomaly. That's twice now. In an annuum.
Coming up in June.
So it's coming up. So I was thinking about that today. Actually, it's coming up.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, still we have yet to determine. But this almost
We have
shaft
a
of light.
good idea, but we
Yeah.
still haven't tied it down. So
just adds to the spookiness of the place.
it does. But yeah, there's definitely things up there. The hotel is a working hotel, as you said. You can book that through Bube's Brewery.
Yep.
Malt House, you can book through Airbnb.
Definitely check them out. You can book private investigations. You can rent the whole building out and do a private investigation. You reach out to Melissa Keller and our team to do that. She takes care of those bookings. It's definitely worth it.
I know from past times that there have been people here who've booked the place, who've rolled out a sleeping bag down here in the catacombs and spent the night.
Oh yeah, there was that group that was live streaming it. That the young lady slept down there. You saw her play with.
Yep, there was some actual activity in the resting time. So
we don't get to investigate the other side very often. We have done one or two things, but
flashlight on cue after that comment. So
nice. The bottling works.
Cooper shed,
things like that. When it's a slow night and we have the opportunity, sometimes we'll break off.
Yeah,
and
for light on guests as well. And we obviously, our commitment is to guests to arrive.
But we've had some interesting experiences over there. There's been rumors that a guest has seen Alois himself in the bar, in the Bottling Works bar. They didn't know what he looked like, and this guy walked through and sort of walked away, disappeared. And then they saw the portrait downstairs, and they're like, "Who's that?" Because I saw him upstairs earlier. And
oh, wow.
So that's an interesting story.
Yeah. Bartenders tell stories of bottles moving and things on the back bar, not away from guests, and things they said on the bar itself.
Yeah, there was a waitress told me a story about having a roll of silverware. Roll of silverware taken out of her hand and hover in front of her as she was doing her side work at the end of the night.
Hopefully that was a helping hand.
Getting chills.
I want to point out how great it looks like we're sitting on an old horror movie, like Elvira type set, and it's not. This is not.
Well, like we're in a dungeon somewhere too. I don't know.
So there are opportunities to visit Bube's Brewery.
Before we get too far down that path, we have one more thing to show.
We do.
We do. Speaking of being in the ballroom,
Ballroom.
and speaking of
Me thinking that the girls actually like me.
yeah,
Should we just roll it?
just roll it. It's exactly what it seems.
We only have a few minutes left here. We are going to leave. And we'll take a little bit of a break, and one more session will come back. So we're running out of time tonight if you'd like to communicate.
But I can tell you the next session that's up here will be with David, and I know you like David.
That's true.
Can you turn the light on to let us know that you're looking forward to talking to David?
That one down here. You can turn the lights on if you don't want to talk to David. Oh, I can't wait to show him this.
But but I'm sure it's not true. I'm sure. Uh,
Wondered when my family got to me. So.
yeah. I want to be fully transparent on this. There were more pods on the tripwire that were off to the left, and one of them lit up when we asked about the seat. Excited to get Dave there. So it was a faint and very light blip, but it did happen. So
Oh yeah, he's cool.
he's all right. So he's not you guys. That's what it basically was saying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it is great that we all have the opportunity to work with different groups here. Like, it's never the same teams over and over. We always
we do mix up, right?
and it is great that we can do that.
Yeah, and this is, we all have different styles and different equipment. Generally speaking, we run the same ideas because we have a timeline that we're in and a space that we're at, and we know we'll cover the history of the space and all that stuff. But then we leave it really, we want the guests to have an investigation that is theirs, uniquely theirs. And obviously, I think we always ask that folks get involved and participate as well, ask questions, engage in the process, be attentive to the environment, because you never know if you might see something, smell something might touch you might hear something. The touchy part always freaks people out, of course, but it does happen.
Yep.
And and with those groups who are active and those participants who are active, those sessions seem to open up a lot faster than we're all just kind of sitting around looking at each other. And I can't make people do anything, and I certainly don't have a negative comment to make about that. But it's energy, and we, as we're projecting a positivity to it, the more we can do that with everyone, it'll certainly, more stuff happens. And almost every time we're here, something happens.
Mm-hmm. Just like Amanda said, never the same team, absolutely never the same experience.
Yeah,
Always something to remember. That's a good way of putting it.
that's a great tagline right there. That's our marketing plan right there. We're done.
Yeah, disagrees too.
Yeah, see.
So yeah, definitely always something.
Yeah.
Every time the flashlight goes off, it looks like I just had an idea.
Oh man.
So on that note, there are lots of
I've
ways.
missed you.
Yeah,
Really have.
there are lots of ways to do different things here at Bube's Brewery. There's plenty of opportunities. If you want to do a paranormal investigation, you can join us. If you want to do a ghost tour because you don't want to spend the 3 hours,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's an investment.
It's past our bedtimes. I get it.
You can do about it. I think the ghost tour is about an hour.
Yeah.
It's
a walk
Sam
through,
does that.
highlighting of the spaces and places that are key here in the building.
They do feasts down here in the catacomb level, the lower catacomb. I would assume that it's amazing food, and they do like pirate feasts.
It's a little risque though too. So it's definitely an adult experience.
Right. And they're known for their parties. We're coming up this month. At the end of April is their halfway to Halloween party.
Yep.
And Boobies is well known for its Halloween bash.
Yeah.
It's a weekend event.
Yep. They also have their dinner theater experiences, which are usually Saturday nights right before us.
Yep.
They're every
In the grand,
Saturday night.
in the hotel.
Their murder mystery.
Yep. And they're different themes. They're all murder mysteries, but they're different themes. So definitely check them out.
Yeah, different night specials. Tonight was trivia night here in the Bottling Works.
Yep.
But different specials every night of the week. And my favorite part of the establishment is coming. That's opening of the beer garden.
Oh yeah.
And as a gorgeous outside space that has bands and live entertainment.
A giant
chess set, and just a really just a unique space that you don't expect to find in the the side of the building tucked here in Mountjoy.
Yep.
So really cool space.
So definitely come visit Sam and the people here. And
We can't say enough nice things.
No, definitely not. So.
All right.
Well, guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, this was always an open invitation.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'll probably do some more.
Okay.
But we got some upcoming events. Who's doing the upcoming events?
I'll take this. Excuse me. So coming up on May 18th, which is only 3 weeks away, we have another public investigation here. There are about 15 tickets left, and they are going steadily. So there's still an opportunity to bring a group in if you like, or just a one-off or two-off. It's a great date night experience. Yeah, and you never, especially if you're new to dating, if you don't know each other very well, this is a great way to get to know each other.
Sit in the dark.
You get to sit in the dark and hopefully not be scared. June 1st, June 29th, we have 2 that month. And then rolling forward to July 13th, August 10th, and September 7th is all we have on the calendar so far for the rest of the year. I'm sure October, November, December will get added as we get closer to summertime. We're usually a quarter or so away.
There might be a special event in October.
There might be a very special event in October. If there's some rumblings there. And with this, you've gotten an overview of this place now. So, obviously it's not a mystery. It's not it's an interesting building. It's on the National Historical Register. So it's an aged old property that just has charm and ambiance and a few ghosts. So,
Todd and Carmela, we would love to have you come out. Please join us.
Please. Yeah.
Let us know. We'll get you set up.
Yeah.
So
got you covered.
And Bert, you're part of the team, so we know you.
Really? I didn't know that. I enjoyed boobies, huh?
Did you say boobies?
Bube's Brewery.
Oh.
Bube's Brewery. Some upcoming shows.
Uh-huh.
So next week I will be hosting the episode on the Accomack Inn, which is an 1775 property on the west side of the Susquehanna here from us, right across the river, right just above Wrightsville. A property that was a crossing for the Anderson Ferry crossing, and then which we know is Anderson Ferry Road right out here. So that's where the road ended, was at the river, and then the crossing was there. So long before the bridges were in play. And then the Accomack was the inn that was right there to host travelers on their way further west. And Wrightsville is the first deeded property west of the Susquehanna. So its age is old. There's at least a murder or 2 that we know of at the hotel and the inn, and some other stuff. So it's going to be a fun episode, I hope. Chad's going to tackle the dark and dreary mysteries of the Fulton Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things that have happened there through the years. I've heard stories, been hearing stories forever, and having taken a tour myself, a off-script tour, was really cool to get to the lower levels and see some of the things that the normal public doesn't see. And then coming back around our old haunting grounds. See how I did that? The Haldeman Mansion, when that was our original home opportunity before we got to come here to the brewery. And then we're going to try to get to that reveal we mentioned for the Commonweal at the Lazy Cave facility, or the site in Columbia. And they will be open that weekend, actually. So I think the soft opening is going to be on the weekend before, on the 17th. So you'll get a chance to actually go to the building and see what we saw, perhaps. So some really cool stuff.
So Bert says there's some stories at the Accomack. I think he's talking about the Accomack.
Okay.
But
I would love to investigate it too, Bert. I totally appreciate that.
Well, the Accomack's very popular. When you mentioned it the other day at the Commonweal, everybody was very excited about it.
It's been closed for a while now, but it was fine French dining for the longest time. It had this really upscale environment to it. It's a gorgeous property. It just really is. It's had some trauma to the site as well through the years. There was an extensive fire that pretty much knocked the building down back in the 1930s. Early 30s, and the stone building that it is now was the rebuild. But it is an absolutely gorgeous place. I've had the opportunity to be there a time or 2, 3 times probably through the years. Front yard view of the Susquehanna, just a gorgeous location, but some tragedy to it with operational problems. And it's now a shuttered building location. So I agree, we'd like to investigate it. And if we can figure out who owns it, perhaps maybe we can. But it's a murky thing at this point. More to come.
So, on our socials, Dave, we have a new social. We're on Twitch now.
I heard. Yeah.
So
I saw that on last week's episode. You announced that.
Yeah, and as we have some some accessibility to where people view from, and we actually had a Twitch viewer tonight. So
awesome.
Sweet. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So, on that note, guys.
That's it. This was fun. I
Yeah,
didn't
this
know
was
how
fun.
fun this was.
Yeah, now we got to pack up and actually go home.
Yeah.
Like normally we could just turn stuff off and go in, another room in the house. So
Yeah, no, it's
got to climb up the stairs and get out of here.
Yeah.
Jeez,
So,
it's like an investigation night.
it is.
I'm actually dressed like for as many as I did with you guys. I was like usually didn't have pants on.
Well, on that note, we wanted to thank our viewers who were coming out regularly. Now they're
Please don't stand up.
So, but thank you for joining us. We couldn't do this without you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you.
Want to throw it out. Thanks again to Sam for letting us come down here.
Yeah.
Gene for helping make sure everything was set up the way I needed it when I got here.
Rockstar staff. great owner.
Yeah.
Really appreciate all of this and the opportunity to come back time and time and time again.
And Sam said that if we come back and do this again, he may join us and we can interview him on the air.
Oh, that's great. He's got to have he has, whether he's experienced anything or not, he still has really great stories of the place too, which are, they're priceless.
Yeah.
So we got to get there.
So,
okay.
All right. Anything else you want to throw out there, Jamie?
No, I'm good. Thank you guys. Thank you. We
Thank you
appreciate
so
it as
much.
always.
You know, like us, share this one. This is probably the most easy and in-depth one we've done because we have all of our own personal experiences here.
I think this is the longest episode we've done that doesn't involve Steve Dills.
I think you're right. So,
and it's getting there. It's almost as long. But yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Here we
on
go.
that note, good night, everybody. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.
Good night.